We are back on the Rational Boomer podcast. Hopefully, your day is going well. It is Tuesday, and this is going to be one of those podcasts that we do a live TikTok in coordination. I'm going to turn on the live here on TikTok, and I'm going to do a TikTok live. And of course, people will have the opportunity to ask questions and make comments, and I'll refer those questions and comments here on the podcast. So you'll be able to do the live or the podcast. If you miss the live, you can go to the podcast. You know, we've done this before. This isn't anything new. So I'm hitting the live right now, and we'll see what's happening. There is a lot of things happening in the news, of course. Jack Smith has argued an appeal for the classified documents case, trying to get that dismissal by Aileen Cannon overturned. And Trump's kind of backing out of the debate. That's some of the things we will talk about. So we are now live on TikTok as well. Welcome. Thank you for showing up out of the blue. I don't really make any plans for this sort of thing, and I don't give you an advance warning, so I appreciate you just jumping in. While we're doing the live, I'm also recording this for the Rational Boomer podcast. And if you haven't listened to the Rational Boomer podcast, you should. We talk about a lot of things here on TikTok and during the lives, of course, too. But with the Rational Boomer podcast, we get to expand on those topics. We get to talk about things that are more in depth. And I will tell you this, if you're on TikTok right now and you're on this live, I'm sure you know who Won't Be Silent is. Abe Won't Be Silent. He's on the podcast today, and it's always a great show. He's fun to talk to. He's a good guy. All right. So we're on the live. We're going to get some questions there. Let's see. It looks like Will, who you know from the podcast, who's on frequently, he's on too. He's Bender 38 US. And TJ the plumber's out there. He's a moderator. He's going to be dealing with the Trumplifucks as they come pouring in, as they normally do. The point of doing these lives is try to get through an hour or so, talk about the things we talk about without the Trumplifucks trying to take us down. Good Vibe says, glad I caught you. I don't see you on my FYP anymore. Well, I tell you what, if you can't find me on TikTok, go over to YouTube. All the TikToks are there too. TikTok Rocker says, what is your prediction? How many votes do you think Kamala will get versus Trumpty Dumpty? I've said that it will be a decisive win, if not a landslide. It's always tough to predict a landslide, but it's going to be a decisive win. She's going to get substantially more votes than Donald Trump, certainly better than Joe Biden did in 2020. Top of the evening to you, Mike. Bob Sauer, thank you. Deborah from Montgomery, Alabama. I've not been to Alabama as yet, but I'd like to get there. Hey, Deborah. What else we got? Harris, accomplished woman, moral, brains, compassion. Yeah, let's be honest. She is an excellent candidate. She's a highly qualified candidate. She was a prosecutor, attorney general, a U.S. senator, a vice president, and now she is going to be president of the United States. She may be one of the more qualified candidates for president we've ever seen. Alyssa Hammer says, hello from San Antonio, Texas. Glad I got to catch you out this weekend. Nice to meet you, Alyssa. I will say, Alyssa, there's a neighbor of yours, Jace, who's on the Rational Boomer podcast with some regularity. He's down in San Antonio, too. Love that town. Love the Riverwalk. Donka says, good to see you live. Hey, from North Carolina. Hey, Ben, how's it going down in North Carolina? Zeta says, I think Donald will skip the debate. Yeah, it's kind of looking like that, isn't it? The next debate is on September 10th, which is about 2 weeks away. Donald Trump has been talking like he wants to do the debates, but earlier today, he said he was admonishing ABC for the treatment of Tom Cotton, who was on yesterday. He said ABC was terrible, and I don't even know why I'd want to do a debate there, which means he's setting it up to try to back out. And apparently there's been some conversation about this debate. You remember in the first debate with Joe Biden, there was a rule that shut off the mics when the opponent was talking. So while somebody else was talking, your mic was shut off. And that was done to keep Donald Trump's mouth shut. And apparently they're debating that for this next debate coming up. The trouble is, it's turned around. It's not Kamala Harris and her people that want the mic shut off. They said, hey, leave them open. We don't care. It's Donald Trump's side that wants that. So Kamala wants the mics left on the whole time. Donald Trump's people don't want the mics turned on all the time. And I can only presume this, that they can't trust Donald Trump to go a full 90 minutes without saying something fucking stupid. So they want to try to cover up as much as they can. The problem with it is Donald Trump was in an interview later on in the day and was asked about the mics being shut off. And he said, I don't care if the mics are on. So he went counter to what his own people are saying. And as far as I'm concerned, the deal's done. If he's okay with it, Kamala's okay with it, let's do it. Harris is on fire. Yes, she is. You have to excuse me. I'm just getting over a bit of a cold. Samuel said, I always watch you. Keep up the good work. Thank you, Samuel. TikTok Rocker says, I hope you're right. Too big to rig. Yeah, I think that may come into play here. I mean, when you think of all the negative things working against Donald Trump and all the positive things working for Kamala Harris, it kind of makes sense. Julio from Melbourne Beach, Florida. Hey, Julio. Good to hear from you. And GEA is turning blue. That comes from Will, who's on the podcast frequently. Let's hope Georgia does turn blue. I have a connection to Georgia in that my wife and I have a small place down in Savannah, Georgia. We love Georgia. There are 2 Democratic senators in Georgia. I would love to see Georgia turn blue. And I know that Tim Walz and Kamala Harris are doing a bus tour through Georgia now. And they're going to do what they can. They're going to put the work in to get the votes down there. Wayne says, hi, Boomer from Colorado. Hey, Wayne. And if you hear me sniffing, it's not like Donald Trump, who's on Adderall and cocaine. It's because I got this cold. So just bear with me. Adam says, play landslide. Do you mean you'll win the presidency, Senate, and Congress? I personally think we will. I think we'll win the House with no problem. And I think we'll win the Senate easier than most people think. Because here's the deal. I think that the biggest issue is overturning Roe v. Wade. This took constitutional rights away from 50% of the country, meaning women. 75% of the people support Roe v. Wade. I think over and above everything else, that is going to be the big issue. Now, that will certainly affect and maybe cost Donald Trump the presidency. But if you're going to vote against Donald Trump for the presidency, are you then going to vote for the senator in Florida that says, Rick Scott, who is a Trump-a-fuck, who supports overturning Roe v. Wade? If you're concerned about Roe v. Wade, you got to get rid of Donald Trump, the members of the House, and the Senate. So, yeah, I think that's a distinct possibility. Sparkle says, hello from Illinois. What up? Joe Ramirez, good evening. Hey, from Canada. Jan. Candace, so he's not doing the debate. I don't know that that's true because he's in a tough spot here. If he does the debate, he's going to get annihilated. There's no question about that. So I think that he's going to be put in a tight spot. Hold on a second. I just got a restriction notice, TJ. Check for any of the Trump humpers out there and just blow them out. But Donald Trump is a narcissist. So with Donald Trump being a narcissist, the worst thing you can do to is embarrass him or make him look weak. So as much as it might be ill-advised for him to go to this debate, he might still do it just because he has no other way out. How about Cannon? Yeah, Aileen Cannon. Well, Jack Smith argued in his appeal to the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals in Florida regarding Aileen Cannon dismissing the classified documents case. He's put up his argument there. It will most certainly get overturned, and this will not be dismissed. It's a question of whether or not he's going to be able to get Aileen Cannon kicked off the case. That would be nice. That would be smart. She's not only biased and corrupt, but she's incompetent too. She should not be presiding over one of the biggest cases in the history of this country. Um, China Doll says Donald Trump's going to need way more than 11,780 votes in Georgia. Yeah, yeah, he is. By the way, I want to correct something. I think I did it in the podcast. I talked about this. There was a report that while they're doing this bus tour in Georgia, that they recruited 400,000 volunteers just in the state of Florida. That sounds crazy. That sounds unbelievable. Turns out it was. That was not true. That's 400,000 volunteers throughout the country. In Georgia is about 35 to 40,000. So I just wanted to make that correction. Big Scooter says, I appreciate your input on the issues. Eric Jones says the debate will not work if Trump is not fact checked. Yeah, but who's going to do the fact checking? Will the moderators? I don't know that they will. But we've got Kamala Harris, who is a prosecutor. She'll be able to fact check him. She'll be able to push him back. She'll be able to force him to answer questions as opposed to what he normally does. I'm not worried about the moderators in this debate, should it happen, because Kamala Harris knows exactly what the fuck to do here. And you can bet that they've been discussing it up to this point. Tips on nails. It'd be nice if the Donald got out and Liz Cheney took over. The Republicans need better options. Yeah, that's not going to happen. At this point, the Republicans are still under the control of MAGA. It's going to take this defeat in November to be done with MAGA at this point. They got to fuck around and find out, and they're going to lose big. And then that may be the time that MAGA is no longer powerful in the Republican Party. What's up? We got to win Florida too. And it's looking like Florida might be a possibility. It may be in play, largely due to the fact of how shitty the things are going in Florida. They've got a lot of problems. Plus, they've got the abortion question and the marijuana question on the ballot in November. So that's going to bring out a lot of Democrats, a lot of people that support Roe v. Wade. And when they come out, they're not only going to vote for those questions, but they're going to vote against the likes of Donald Trump and all the other Republicans like Rick Scott, who are trying to take that right away from folks. Do you think Donald could possibly get sentenced jail time when he gets sentenced? I do. I do think he can. I don't know exactly what will happen. If he gets home lockdown, it'll be similar to going to jail, except it'd be more comfortable for him. But once he gets sentenced, if he's locked down and he can't move, that's going to be the death knell of Donald Trump. How do you carry on a campaign if you cannot move? But he seriously could be in it for jail time. Now, they will say this is his first offense and it was nonviolent. Okay, first offense 34 fucking times. 34 felony convictions, and showed total disrespect for the judge, the witnesses, the prosecutors, and the jury. He violated the gag order. He was punished, and then out of disrespect, he did it again. One of the main things you have to do when you're waiting to get sentenced is to show some remorse and behave. Donald Trump has done neither of those things, so he could conceivably get sentenced to jail. I'm an Iowan and will be traveling to Minnesota to visit a friend this Labor Day weekend. Well, we welcome you to Minnesota. It's a wonderful place. I like Iowa too. Bender says 35K is still very impressive. Yeah, it is very impressive as far as volunteers in Georgia. Eric Jones, Democratic voters must make sure that they are not purged by Republican operatives at the polls. Well, here's the thing. I'm hearing some pushback going on down in Georgia. There are some lawsuits, and I heard that the governor of Georgia is checking with the attorney general to see if he can replace people on the elections board because of ethics issues. So there's some things going on in Georgia to push back on these efforts to try to game the system. CM Martinez says hello from Phoenix. What up, Jimbo? Hey, Boomer. Um, TJ the Plumber says, please do not interact with the troll. Mods will deal with them. Yeah, that's good advice. The trolls will come here because they don't have a platform of their own. They need to get attentions. And when they do get this attention, they tend to start shit and they try to draw you into an argument. I will tell you this, whether it be on this live or in life in general, when one of these Trump trolls try to drag you into an argument, do not argue with them. That's exactly what they want. Just laugh at them, smile at them, or just move on. They're looking for attention. Don't give them the attention. Um, Jorge says, great job, Mike. Thank you, Jorge. I appreciate that. Let the orange menace ramble and babble. Harris can handle him. Yes, that's rational Gen X. Um, you're absolutely right. I've said this all along that you just need to let Donald Trump talk and do the things he's going to do because he will destroy himself ultimately. And that's the other thing, too, is you've got this RFK Jr. thing going on, and people are worried about that. I don't think it's going to have much impact on the kind of polling that Donald Trump will do. But RFK is in the same position as Donald Trump. Just let the motherfucker talk. He'll sink himself. Now, there is some talk, some rumor going around that there's going to be an October surprise by the Republicans. And some people are suggesting that October surprise would be that Donald Trump would drop J.D. Vance as VP nominee and replace him with RFK Jr. I'm all for that because RFK isn't an improvement over J.D. Vance. In fact, he's probably worse because, as I said, he'll be in a position to talk more. The more he talks, the more he sinks himself. Twitchy says he will claim ABC is left wing and the debate was rigged if fact checked. Yeah, he will. He'll be whining and crying. I mean, that's what we've got to understand now. There's going to be some shit between now and November that we just have to deal with. It'll all change. It'll all come to a halt after he loses the election. There'll be new shit. There'll be complaints about the election, but he doesn't have as much strength or power as he once did. So I don't think it's going to be a huge issue, to be honest with you. Um, let's see here. 400,000 still a massive for the country. Yeah, it absolutely is. Within the first week or two, there was 170,000 volunteers in this country, and now 400,000 people. That's crazy. And it all lends itself to this momentum thing with Kamala Harris. Republicans want to suggest it's the honeymoon or a sugar high, that it will subside and people will realize who Kamala Harris is. Well, they know who Kamala Harris is. And in their minds, um, they see Kamala Harris at this point, whether it's warranted or not, as the savior for democracy, mainly because Donald Trump intends to destroy democracy. And for 8 years, we've lived under this dark cloud with Donald Trump, and Kamala Harris and Tim Walz represent uh, a bright break in the clouds where the sun shines and people are hungry for it and they're grabbing for it. And I don't think this momentum is going to be dying down. We only have to keep it up for 2 months. Bob says they can have a whole room of fact checkers if they really care about the truth. You know what? I think it doesn't really matter if you fact check Donald Trump because he'll just deny it. I think the best thing that the Democrats can do and Kamala Harris can do in this particular debate is do what the reporter did in the black journalist interview. Come out swinging, throw up some stuff that he doesn't want to answer that is embarrassing to him, and then that sets him off for the rest of the show. Piss him off, push him in the corner, expose things, make him look weak. And from that point on, he'll just say crazy shit the whole 90 minutes, and it won't go well for him. You think Trump shows up for the debate? Don't know for sure. I think it's conceivable he would bail, but I also know that as a narcissist, the worst thing he can do is be embarrassed or made to look weak. It would be ill advised if he showed up for that debate, but Donald Trump is not the smartest man in the world, so he could show up. They cannot leave the mics on when the other person is talking. Well, Kamala wants them to. And Donald Trump's team doesn't want them to. It's switched. That's not how it was when Biden and Trump were talking. It was the other way around. But the reason the Democrats want them to stay on, because that gives Donald Trump more opportunity to say crazy shit. Kamala's not going to get pushed around. She's not going to get steamrolled. So that's not a worry for her. But let that motherfucker talk, because he'll kill himself out there. And on the other side of the coin, the Republicans feel the same way. If they have the mics on, that's 90 minutes of straight talking for Donald Trump where he can sink his campaign. And they want to shut it off while she's talking so he doesn't say something stupid. I don't know if it'll be enough to save him, but that's what they want. Somebody said Jesse Waters, question mark. Jesse Waters is a stupid, incompetent piece of shit. That's all I got. Do you think they will try to plead the fifth during the debate? No. Pleading the fifth is a judicial thing. It has nothing to do with the debate. Now, he could just say, I'm not going to answer it, which would just make him look bad. But Donald Trump doesn't bother with that. He gets a question, he goes off on some tangent, goes nowhere near the answer. So he just won't do it. What else we got? Dude, you are my boy. Thank you, Philip. I appreciate that. I got TKHA sales, bunch of blue hearts. Thank you. How long will it take them to come back after the final MAGA defeat? MAGA? MAGA will never be back. MAGA will be done. They are a failed strategy. It could take the Republicans 5 to 10 years to come back and be strong again. If they would have dumped MAGA after the 2020 election and gotten rid of Donald Trump, they could have been okay. But the fact that they didn't have the courage to do it, they're going to have a lot of rehabilitation necessary when it comes to trying to come back. Rasta Star, Rasta. I had to file to register to vote as a Democrat 4 times before they finally processed it. Yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous that you have to do what you have to do. These people are trying to make it difficult for Democrats to register. It's not going to work, but they're going to try. Did Donald Trump try to sell documents? I think he did. Whether he sold them or gave them away or got some accommodations for giving them away, he showed them to other people. There was the video or the audio of him in Bedminster talking about a classified document with a couple of journalists and an author, and he showed it to them. So we know he disseminated these classified documents to a certain extent. And if he did it in that case, it wouldn't at all be surprising if he disseminated it to Vladimir Putin or Kim Jong-un or whatever. Mitch says you should tell everyone that you will leave the USA if Trump wins. I'm not leaving the USA. First of all, Trump can't win. Trump will not win. And anybody wants to bet me on that, I'll put the money up, but you have to put the money up too. We'll put it in escrow. A third party will hold the money. Guarantee you, Donald Trump does not even come close to winning. And as far as leaving the country, I'm not a pussy ass bitch. Even if he did win, I'd be here fighting with the rest of you motherfuckers. Shut up. Let's see here. Have you talked about the NFRA action? I have not. I guess I'm not even really clear what that is. Maybe I am, but that acronym I'm not familiar with. I'll look into it though. When Harris wins, the Dems will be fully loaded for years to come. Yeah, they will. The Democrats will be in a good situation and they've got a good deep bench. But here's the thing. These are politicians. And this is why our work isn't done. If Donald Trump loses and the Dems get control of the House and the Senate, It's not all rainbows, unicorn, and sunshine. We still have a lot of work to do because the Democrats are still politicians. They could sit in there and think, God, we got this easy now. We got no problems. We're in no hurry to get anything done. No, motherfuckers, you're going to get what you said you're going to get done for us. And we're going to be here on TikTok, on the podcast, on whatever, pushing you, motherfuckers, Democrats, to get done what you promised to get done. Tim says, hello, Minnesota. Hey, how you doing? Um, Joel says we have to win Texas. Well, I don't know if we have to win Texas, but some people seem to think that's possible. Kath says Chasing Oz said Florida will be blue easily. Well, I trust Chasing Oz. She knows some shit. She's a very good creator on TikTok. And if she says it, I will have to trust her on that. I don't know enough about Florida to say that for sure. But honestly, if Florida and Texas went blue, didn't make a difference what the rest of the country would do. Donald Trump could not win. Harris can handle him. I mean, he can't even utter a sentence complete with details that make sense. Yeah, Kamala Harris will decimate him in a debate. You know, he may try to embarrass her or bowl her over, but she's a prosecutor. She's dealt with defense attorneys. She's dealt with far better people than him, far more talented than he is. She will destroy him. They should keep the mics on. They'll see he hasn't changed. Well, if Kamala is comfortable with the mics being on, I'm comfortable too. Let Donald Trump be Donald Trump. Florida is having an outbreak of blue flamingos. That would be nice to see. Do you feel confident Kamala will win? I do. I feel absolutely confident. I feel so confident that I think it's going to be a big win, a decisive win. I dare say a landslide, because Donald Trump is just that bad a candidate. Republicans in trouble, especially Trump. Yeah, they are in trouble, and they know they're in trouble. We think Florida is going to flip. Well, I'd hope so. Do you see Trump without his? Did you see Trump without his wig on? No, I didn't. I saw him in Mar-a-Lago without his makeup and his suit and stuff. He looks a little rough. He looks a little rough. You know, when you're a man and you have to wear makeup and a wig or whatever else you have to put on just to be presentable, that's a problem. You know, maybe I should wear makeup and put on a wig, but I don't give a fuck. Donald Trump is a narcissist, so he thinks he has to look a certain way. You're 78 years old, motherfucker, and you're not in the best of health. Do you think Trump will show up at the debate? I think it's possible he won't show up, but I think it's possible he will because he's so bad with embarrassment and being called a pussy ass bitch. And if he says he's not going to show up, I guarantee on my TikToks, I'm going to be referring to him as such a lot. Who were the three MAGAs on the election board in the Georgia that Kemp is investigating? I don't know their names. Honestly, I don't. I know they're there, and I know Kemp is looking into it, and I know there are some lawsuits. So they may not have as much luck as they think they're going to have pushing their bullshit through. Where has Liz Cheney disappeared to? Said she would help anyone to beat Trump. Well, she's been doing some campaigning. Here's the thing with Liz. She's a Republican, but the Republican Party she belonged to bears no resemblance to the current Republican Party. It was my contention when she got kicked out, not reelected, that she would step aside and just bide her time. And then when MAGA and the Republicans fall apart after this election, she'll be there to help pick up the pieces and hopefully, in her mind, try to put together the Republican Party like it once was. That's what I'm guessing. Do you anticipate problems from MAGA when Harris wins? No, I don't. Everybody says 2020, they're going to attack the Capitol. There's a civil war. You got to understand there's a vast difference between 2024 and 2020. In 2020, Donald Trump was president. He was able to hold back the National Guard. He had controls in the Department of Justice, in Congress, and that's not the case anymore. And then even with that power in the White House and the rest of government, there's still a lot of people that ended up in jail. These people remember that. There was a lot of talk that if we indict Donald Trump, there's going to be a civil war. What happened? Nothing. Then they said, oh, yeah, but if you convict him, there's going to be trouble. We convicted him 34 motherfucking times. No trouble. I have to understand Trump-fucks are bullies. Bullies only walk into something if they're sure they're going to win. With Joe Biden as president and control of the National Guard, they aren't sure they're going to win. In fact, they know they won't win. So, no, I'm not expecting those kinds of problems. Let's see here. We have to be prepared for their dirty tricks. We do. We do, but I think sometimes people get too upset about this. Understand that whatever dirty tricks they're going to try in 2024, they already tried in 2020. They had the power, they had the control, and they still failed. So the difference is they're going to do the same things that they aren't very competent in doing. Plus, we already know about them. We can already prepare for them. So I'm not as worried about the dirty tricks. Golf Buddy says, hope it's not too late. This time the Supreme Court will give Trump the presidency from bogus vote. Explain that. No, that's not what's going to happen. I don't even know. Here's the problem. People like that are listening to what Republicans say and they buy into it. The Supreme Court is not going to decide the presidency. They won't even get the opportunity. Sorry, you're wrong. Mike's off debate or he'll talk over her the whole time. You know what? Here's the deal. People have said that to me when I had Trump-fucks on the podcast. Oh, they'll just talk over you. No, motherfucker, they won't, because I understand how to handle them. And each time I've had a Trump-fuck on, they did not overtalk me because I can talk just as long, just as loud, and just as obnoxiously as they can. And when they tried it with me, it didn't work. And the same can be said about Kamala Harris. When they tried to do it, it will not work. Kamala knows very well how to handle that situation, and she will. People give Donald Trump too much credit, like he's smart. This motherfucker is not smart. He is one of the dumbest human beings I've ever seen. The fact that he rose to the presidency of the United States is an embarrassment for this country. He's too stupid to be president, over and above being racist, misogynistic, anti Semitic, and weird. He's too stupid. We should be ashamed that this country elected that dumb motherfucker. Do you think Trump will make RFK his vice president instead of JD? I think that's a possibility. That may be the October surprise. JD's not doing him any good. RFK will probably do less good for him, to be honest with you, especially if he's allowed to talk. But the funny thing about it is everybody's complaining about JD dragging down Donald Trump. Really? Is it JD? Donald Trump has 34 felony convictions. Donald Trump was found liable for sexual assault. Donald Trump has been accused of sexual assault by 26 other women. Donald Trump stole classified documents. Donald Trump was proven to have cheated in the 2016 election, as is shown by the 34 convictions. I think Donald Trump is dragging down himself. JD's not helping, but he's not the problem. Let's see. Chasing odds in Florida will be blue easily. Yeah, that's distinctly possible. Do I feel Kamala will definitely win? Said it before. Say it again. Yes, definitely. Let's see. I'm getting behind here. I apologize for that. I have to put a disclaimer on my post that responses must be respectful and hateful language will. Yeah, I don't know what that means. Can Trump make RFK his vice president? Yeah, he can. Um, After watching Rachel's show tonight, I'm a bit concerned myself, but you didn't ask me. Here's the thing. I've always been a big Rachel Maddow fan. But for whatever reason, she's coming out and telling these stories that are intended to incite fear into the audience. And I'm disappointed in her for doing that because she's taking it a little too far. I'm afraid she's being pointed in the what direction she needs to go by the management. I don't think she would normally do this. But Rachel Maddow is becoming uh, part of the problem in the media. They're there to stir up excitement and fear and anger and whatever so that you continue watching their program. Their priority isn't journalism. Their priority isn't telling the truth. Their priority is getting more viewers so they can make more money. It's hard right now to watch any of the mainstream media outlets and feel like you're getting the whole truth and nothing but the truth and that they're telling you like it is. I can't say there is anything on TV right now, including MSNBC, that I feel totally confident with. Um, Apparently, RFK was going about chemtrails today. That won't help him. No, no, that's what I'm saying. Let RFK talk. Let him be a mouthpiece for Donald Trump. Donald Trump will destroy himself, but RFK will help make it go faster. Yeah, RFK is a fucking goofball. How is he able to switch VPs after the RNC? I think it's a hassle to do it. I think it's ill advised because it never works for anybody when they do it. Um, but I believe he can do that. I don't know what the procedure is. Um, Donald Trump's kind of lazy, so maybe he won't, but I think it is possible. I'm not sure how you do it. It's not something that you see happen very often. Jenna says RFK Jr. apparently cut the head off a beached whale and brought it home. Talk about weird. Yeah, RFK Jr. is a weirdo, which makes sense given that Tim Walz has already dubbed JD Vance and Donald Trump weird. It only makes sense you'd get another weird person in the mix. TJ the Plumber says listen to the Rational Boomer podcast on Spotify and the video version of the podcast on YouTube. I do encourage you to listen to the Rational Boomer podcast. We talk a lot on here on TikTok, but we get a chance to expand on these topics on the podcast. I do a podcast every night. This live that I'm doing on TikTok will be the podcast for tomorrow. Now, if you're sitting at home tonight and thinking, I got nothing to do for later, there is my current podcast that's running on Spotify and on YouTube. And my guest on the show is Abe Gurko, who you know as on TikTok Won't Be Silent. Abe's a good dude. He's a smart dude. And I really enjoy talking to him. He's been on the show a number of times, and he's on the show today. If you've never listened to the Rational Boomer podcast, today would be a good day to start. Um, Yvonne says, I can't believe the emails that was hacked never came out. Not fair. True. I feel like we're at the part of the movie when the lackeys finally get sick of the bully and ditch him. Yeah, it does feel like kind of a movie. It almost feels like destiny. They had their time in the sun, but now it's starting to fade. Now the sun is going down and nothing is working for these folks. I do believe there's a certain amount of destiny to this, and that after November 5th, everything's going to be dramatically different in our politics and in our country. Can Trump dump JD Vance given the RNC is over? I think he can. I honestly think he can. I don't know how. I don't know the rules and regulations. It's amazing her fundraising numbers. Yeah, it is truly amazing. Whenever you think about the polls, they look at polls to determine support for a given candidate. It is opening up for Kamala Harris. I've heard one poll gives her a 7% lead, which is substantial. But I think there's something that's more um, evident of support is the fundraising. People going into their pockets, getting their hard earned money and giving it to a candidate. That to me seems the epitome of support. And we know now that in just over a month, Kamala Harris has raised over $500 million. And keep in mind, we only have 2 months left of the campaign. So that's pretty impressive. No question. Poppy says, I do enjoy the RB pod. Thank you very much, Poppy. I appreciate it. DCB in events says it's very telling that not one Republican president backs him. Not only not one Republican president, but not 99% of his cabinet from his last term don't even support him. All right, moving on. This is different than any other election. There'll be a mass, I'm assuming, a mass turnout. And I agree with you. There will be a mass turnout here. I mean, keep in mind, in 2020, we had a big turnout. Joe Biden got 81 million votes. Donald Trump got 74 million votes, the most number of votes ever cast in a presidential election. And why was that? Was it because Joe Biden was such a great candidate? No. He ended up being a great president, but people didn't know that at the time of the election. They came out because they had strong feelings about Donald Trump. They disliked Donald Trump and they were terrified of Donald Trump. Then in 2022, they thought there was going to be a red wave, but there wasn't. Again, it was because Donald Trump's face was on that election and people were still terrified and disliked Donald Trump. So now here we are in November of 2024. Do you think people are any less hateful of Donald Trump or terrified of Donald Trump? I would say more so. So that's why we're going to see a huge turnout. And with a huge turnout, there's going to be a decisive win for the Democrats. All right. Would RFK be in the ballot if they pull an October surprise? I don't know. The whole thing is not a good idea for Donald Trump to do, but that doesn't mean Donald Trump won't do it. I'm not sure what's going to happen with it, and it really doesn't matter. Going with J.D. Vance or RFK Jr. as the VP candidate is not going to make a difference in the election. So I don't even know why we waste our time worrying about it. It's not really going to have an impact. If the Democrats keep the Senate, they should hold it for 6 years. Well, no, every term there is more senators running for reelection. Here's what the Democrats have to do. They have to get Kamala Harris in, control in the House, control in the Senate, and then do a ton of good things for the people of this country. Get results, be productive, take the opportunity you have and get some shit done. Two things are going to happen. Once you're getting things done, it's going to be easier to get them to vote for you in the next election. And in that process, it's going to take a long time for the Republicans to recover from the mess they left themselves in. What becomes of Trump's puppets in the Senate and Congress? Good question. We know that there's going to be some potential indictments of sitting members of Congress, people that helped out in the January 6th insurrection. So some of them may be getting indictments, some of them may be going to jail. Other than that, these people will go in there and they'll stay in there and they'll try to cause a problem, but they will be so weakened that it won't really matter. Basically, what we've got to do is we've got to make MAGA impotent and slowly but surely kick them out. Jeffrey Sunshine says indict MTG. Well, that's a distinct possibility. She just got into office just prior to the January 6th insurrection. Sounds like she was involved to a certain extent. She might be part of the superseding indictments coming from Jack Smith. We'll see. MTG mentioned she may be leaving. Where the fuck is she going to go? She's up for election here in November. We'll see if she's still running. I think she is. Thank God Manchin's gone. Too bad Republicans get the seat by a former Democrat, Jim Justice. Too bad. MTG and Jim Jordan should be among those indicted. Well, I think they could definitely be. Certainly Jim Jordan, because we know Jim Jordan talked to Donald Trump a number of times on January 6th, prior to and during the insurrection. So I'm sure they weren't talking about pickleball. I'm sure they had something to do with the insurrection. And it's a matter of what they were talking about as to whether he'll be culpable in that day's crimes. Can you explain the exit polls and who participates? Well, the exit polls basically are with pollsters being at the ballots at the polls. And when people go and vote and they come out, they'll ask them who they voted for. It's a poll. Uh, I don't trust polls that much. They've always been wrong or very far off. So I take that with a grain of salt. We don't need an exit poll. We just need the results from the election, which will come shortly after those exit polls. Horace says here in Georgia, the Trump loyalist election committee are changing the rules before the elections. That's true, Horace. But we understand that your governor is looking into the possibility of removing some of those MAGA election officials. And we know there are some lawsuits. There's going to be some pushback with the things they've done. It'll be interesting to see how that works out. Let's see here. Robert Hutchins says you would be a great president. No, I wouldn't. I would not. I'm not diplomatic at all. I hate fucking meetings. I'm too lazy to work as hard as needs to be. Um, um, a president. I'm not tall enough. I'm not young enough. I wouldn't be a good political candidate. I'm better off sitting outside the mix and stirring some shit and talking some shit. You see, there's a lot of people in this country that would want to say the same things I say, but they don't have that opportunity. They work for somebody that might tell them to stop. Their families might tell them to stop, or they don't feel comfortable speaking their mind in this kind of arena. Fortunately, I don't work for anyone. No one's going to tell me to say what I can't say. Um, my family knows better than to tell me to change my tune, but they agree with me largely anyway. And I'm not worried about coming out of here and speaking my mind. You know, when you do this, you get a lot of people who say they love you and all that, and that's wonderful, but you get a lot of people say horrible things to you. If you take it personally, then this is going to be tough. I don't. I don't worry about what people say. I don't care what people say. And I think there's a value in having somebody who's in the position I'm in. Because once I became an elected official, I would lose all those advantages that I currently now have. And I have no interest in shutting my mouth. I'm going to continue to say what I'm saying. All right. What else we got here? Haven't been hearing anything out of Ron Johnson either. Now, Ron's not the brightest guy in the world. He might be in trouble too, ultimately. Ron Johnson may be in trouble legally as well. We know that there were some things he was tied to with regard to the insurrection. But he's been pretty quiet. I think you're going to see a lot of MAGA fucks become more quiet as we become closer to the election. All right. Makes you wonder why Jim got the Presidential Merit Award. Well, because Donald Trump gave it to him for whatever stupid ass reason. Um, Republicans do a reset because MAGA Republicans are delusional and dangerous for America. Well, that's exactly what they're going to have to do. They're going to have to do a reset because what they've been doing hasn't worked since 2016. And in 2016, they had to cheat to win. So you go 2018, 2020, 2022, now 2024. You would think after losing regularly in all of those elections that you might say, hey, maybe we should try something different. I suspect that's what they'll do. I'm thinking the electoral map will be surprisingly blue. I think so too. I think there will be a huge popular vote win for the Democrats. And I think the electoral map will be commensurate with the popular vote. I don't trust the Georgia governor to fix the problem. Well, maybe not. But he was one of the reasons why Georgia didn't fold and give it to Donald Trump, too. He is a Republican. He doesn't think like us. but maybe he has a shred of integrity. Put it this way, with all the things that are going on, if it continues the way it's going, we may not even need Georgia. And I don't really care how we win, just so we win and we win decisively. If Georgia goes the other way, then let them do that. We win it. And then after MAGA is pushed to the side, then we can go back to Georgia and hopefully try to fix that shit. Um, let's see here. Rita B says, "You are the real deal." I don't know what you mean by that, but I'm really me. I'm really me. It's, and that's the thing. People say, "What do you like when you're not on TikTok?" Just like this, pretty much. That's one of the things I decided when I went on TikTok. I tried to think about all the ways I could do something to get attention. I could do this, but then I realized you're a 60-year-old man sitting in your living room, not especially pretty, not especially talented. How about you just do what you can do and see what the fuck happens? And that's kind of what happened. Robert Hutchins says, "Thanks for giving us your governor." No problem. I like Tim Walz a lot. He's like a lot of people in this state. He is kind of everybody's dad, and good guy, smart guy. And just wait till you watch him in a debate with JD Vance. That's going to be fun. Reese says Kemp hates Trump. Trump attacked his wife. Yeah, you're right. Whether he's Republican or not, Governor Kemp of Georgia, he is a Republican. He's not the greatest guy in the world, but he does hate Trump. So he's not going to do Trump any favors. Uh, we maybe have the highest voting population numbers in history. I think you're absolutely right. I think this will be a record as far as voter turnout. I think you're very smart. You give me hope. Well, thank you very much, Robert. I don't know about being smart, but I am all about hope. There's always hope. You've got to assume you're going to win. A lot of people want to assume they're going to lose. I don't do that. We're going to win. I've been telling you we're going to win in November for the last 2 years. And a lot of people didn't buy into it. And a lot of people still don't buy into it. But trust me, when it comes down to it, Donald Trump is going to get his ass whipped. It's in his destiny. I wish my family would appreciate and listen to my rational info. Love you, Mama Kimbo. Well, we all have family members that we're either not talking to currently or certainly don't agree with. It's all right. All right. Uh, Will says Rick Scott is going down. I hope so. Rick Scott's got some issues. Remember, the FBI took his phone way back when? They've been fighting as to whether or not they can use that as evidence. I'm not sure how that's going at this point, but Rick Scott's in trouble. Sparkle says, "Who cares what anyone says, especially Trump cult? You can say what you want, say how you feel." Mama Kimbo, MAGA fucks is my favorite. Thank you. Trump fucks. There's a lot of names for these dipshits. Analytical Iowan, who's Eric from Iowa. He's on the show frequently too. Be sure to check out his stuff. Republicans will definitely have to rebrand. After getting their asses kicked election after election, sticking with Donald Trump, they'll have to abandon Donald Trump and they'll have to abandon MAGA and they will have to rebrand in order to get any kind of chance of winning in future elections. I'm concerned about the looming shutdown. Republicans will use that to their advantage. Well, please tell me how they're going to do that. We've been going through this the last year and a half or so. Every so often they say, "Oh, we're going to shut it down. We're going to shut it down." Problem with that is if it shuts down, the Democrats aren't getting the blame for it. The Republicans will. It will hurt them. And the last few times that they were talking about shutting it down, I've said over and over again, last minute, last day, they'll come to some terms and they will keep it open. And they did every time, and they will this time too. You're not going to see them do that this close to the election. And besides that, Joe Biden has played Kevin McCarthy and Mike Johnson every time we've been in this situation. I have confidence in Joe Biden, and I know the Republicans will try to act tough, but they know that if this country shuts down, they're the ones that are fucked. Billy says, Boomer, I sincerely appreciate your views and opinions. Keep it up. Thank you. I will certainly do that. Why is Trump allowed to run for president? I hear that question a lot. He's a convicted felon. How can he run for president? Well, he can run for president because in the Constitution it doesn't say he can't. I presume when they wrote the Constitution, they never had any idea that at some point a convicted felon would want to run for president or would get the support of a party to run for president. And it was never mentioned in the Constitution. So, by virtue of that, that's how he can run. What do you think of the graph of the voting registration the 2 weeks after Biden dropped out? Well, I think when Joe Biden dropped out, people loved Joe Biden, but they saw Kamala Harris as a bright and shining light after a long period, what seemed like in a cave. Uh, you got a lot of inspiration when they made that move, especially watching how much support Kamala Harris had. You're going to see a lot of registrations over the next couple of months, and there was going to be a huge turnout. I'm convinced of that. Will RFK Jr. endorsement be a game changer? No, no, it's not going to be. Here's the deal. Remember when Donald Trump was in the primaries and Nikki Haley dropped out? But even still, Nikki Haley got votes, 15, 20% taken away from Donald Trump. Was it because they wanted to vote for Nikki Haley? No. They just couldn't stomach voting for Donald Trump. And a lot of the people that were committing to vote for RFK Jr. are in that same boat. They support RFK Jr. for some reason, and some of them may go to Donald Trump, but a lot of them will either not vote at all or go to Kamala Harris. These are people that can't stand Donald Trump, because if they did like Donald Trump, they would have been voting for him instead of RFK Jr. So, no, I don't think it has any real effect on the way things are. TJ the plumber says, Mike, we are at a 1 hour mark. Everything is super stable. The Trumplefucks are at bay. Well, thank you, TJ. Usually at the hour mark, we're looking at maybe shutting it down because Trumplefucks are going crazy. They're not, so we'll just keep going as long as you guys, well, not as long as you guys want to go. We'll go for a while longer. We'll talk about stuff, and then we'll wrap things up. Um, TJ the plumber, who's in Pennsylvania, says he's counting on Shapiro to bring it home. Yeah, Shapiro's a very sharp guy. He would have been a good vice presidential candidate, but I see him as more kind of a lead singer, some guy who's going to run for president himself. I think Tim Walz is more than happy to be a side man, playing the bass off on the side and not have to be the star. He can be a star or a personality in his own right, but not overshadow Kamala Harris. And that um, I think that Josh Shapiro has high ambitions, as well as he should, because he's a very talented politician. Carving with Karen. Hi, Mike. Hey, Karen. How you doing? Carrie from Jessup, Georgia, and I'm definitely a duck out of water. Voting blue all the way. Thank you, Carrie. I appreciate that. Mama Kimbo, you are real effing deal. Thank you, Mama. You're very authentic. People crave that. Um, Thank you for that. I appreciate that. And I spent a lot of time working in radio, and I know a lot of people in radio put on airs, put on voices and such. Um, and I've always tried to be authentic. I don't want to try to be anybody that I'm not, and I'm really not. This is how I actually am. And it was kind of an experiment when I first got on TikTok. I knew I couldn't do anything to draw an audience in, so I said I'm just going to be myself and let the chips fall where they may. Fortunately, it worked out to a certain extent, and I appreciate that, KCR. Um, I do try to be authentic, and I think if you talk to anybody that knew me that sees what I'm doing here, they'd say, "Yeah, that's that crazy motherfucker." Crafty little devil, what do you think of the graph of the voting registration? The 2 weeks we talked about that. Um, we're glad you did what you've done. You have kept us sane. You know, that's probably one of the things I'm most appreciative of. I get that comment a lot. You keep me sane. You talk me off the ledge. I used to be worried all the time, but you make me feel better. You know, when you do something like this, you're trying to accomplish something. And then when you find out you're doing some people some good, then you go, Jesus, that's a great honor to be able to do that. You know, when I talk about the things I talk about, initially I look at things and analyze them, try to make myself feel better, try to figure out the angles, try to figure out the problem. And once I do that, then I come out in TikTok and say that. I'm largely trying to make myself feel better or understand the situation more. The fact that people out there are feeling better because of it, that's a great honor to be able to do that. When will the VPs do the debate? October 1st is when that's supposed to happen. A lot can happen between now and October 1st, though. JD might not be the VP. JD might bail out. The thing will go very south with Donald Trump and Kamala Harris, and they just might not want to do debates at all. Island Grits, Tim Walz is great. Yeah, he's a good dude. And he's been very successful in Minnesota. Donald Trump will say that he's been failed in Minnesota and Minnesota's having troubles. That's not true. I live in Minnesota. I voted for Tim Walz. He's probably one of the most successful governors in the history of this state, if not the country. And the state is doing fine. All right. Mama Kimbo says, we love Tim Walz. He's Minnesota's secret. Yeah, he was. You know, to be perfectly honest with you, I knew he was the governor and I knew he did a great job and I did vote for him. But it wasn't until he became vice presidential candidate that I really understood his personality and who he was. And it's easy to take to Tim Walz. All right, let's see here. Lady Hawk, we got each other. Barely speak to my siblings because of this shit. Yeah, no, I know what you mean. I've got a sibling and some other relatives I don't talk to. Um, Whenever I do see them, they can't help themselves. They got to come up and say something to me. When I'm out in the wild, when I'm out with my wife or my granddaughter or something, I don't talk about politics. I don't go actively looking to find somebody to talk about politics. But if somebody comes up to me, either says something I agree with, I will acknowledge that. But if somebody says something stupid, I got to say something. I mean, I feel like I'm doing them a favor. You're a stupid motherfucker, so I'm straightening your shit out. Let's see what else we got here. Republicans need to blame Mitch McConnell. Yeah, Mitch McConnell is probably the biggest problem in this country in terms of Republicans. I've said this before with okay, now I got to go through this thing again where TikTok makes me figure it out to stay on. All right. Okay, now I'm back. But when you get to an hour point, TikTok makes you do a little puzzle to make sure you're still there. They're acting like we're not doing anything here. Well, motherfuckers, we're talking. But Mitch McConnell, what I really think happened with Donald Trump got into office as president because he didn't think he was going to win, but then when it seemed like he had an opportunity, his ego took off with him and he enters the office. And then people like Mitch McConnell, who are very smart, understand who Donald Trump is. He's very easily manipulated. All you have to do is pat him on the head, tell him he's a genius, and he'll do whatever he wants, whatever you want. And Mitch McConnell basically led Donald Trump around like a bull with a ring in his nose. And Mitch McConnell just had him do all this bullshit. I don't think that initially Donald Trump was as evil as he may be considered now, but sticking with the likes of Mitch McConnell, Lindsey Graham, and those fucks, that's what put him in this situation. Island of Grit says, I hear young people saying they won't vote for Democrats because of Gaza and the Palestinians. Yeah, I think you're largely hearing that from Republicans. They would like you to believe that's the case, and maybe there are some people that vote that way. But here's what you have to understand. If you look at the polling with young people, it says 71, 72% of them are voting Democrat. Secondly, if you've got young people, I'd be very surprised to hear that they are more concerned with Gaza than they are the overturning of Roe v. Wade. Gaza doesn't affect them directly, but overturning Roe v. Wade does. So you're telling me I feel for Gaza, so I'm voting for Trump, and the whole abortion ban thing, I'll just deal with it. Yeah, I find that hard to believe. All right. Uh, Will says, go ahead, shut it down. That is an October surprise. It is, but it's not a good one for the Republicans. Kennel Iron Man. So glad we feel more confident, no longer stressed out on the edge. Yeah. We are things are looking up. Things have changed dramatically and we're in a good situation. And I think we're looking at a momentum that's not going to stop. I know a lot of people have suggested, well, this is just a honeymoon period. This is just a sugar high. I disagree. I disagree completely. Some people have said this is a movement led by Kamala Harris, and I disagree with that too. This is a movement, all right. There's no question it's a movement, but it's been created and facilitated by all of us. We were all starving for something positive. We were all starving for a light at the end of the tunnel. We found it, we grabbed onto it, and now we're running with that shit. Gardening and beets. Love it. I come home to watch your videos. Well, thank you very much. Because of TikTok, people will blame Republicans for a shutdown, not Democrats. Yeah, TikTok will have some bearing on that. Thoughts on Trump at Arlington? Well, he went to Arlington Cemetery. And this is just Donald trying to clean up some of his comments he's made about veterans, being suckers and losers. It's not going to work for him, but he's got to do something. So yeah, stupid. Lucy Girl says Constitution needs a U-Haul. There does need to be some changes there. That needs to be shored up. People will say, well, I'm an original constitutionalist. The Constitution was never meant to be written and not changed. If that were the case, there wouldn't be amendments in the Constitution. You do have to adjust for the times and the situations. And that's definitely something that we need to do. If Trump becomes president, then he will let Israel destroy Palestine. Trump will not be president. And by that time, Benjamin Netanyahu will be out on his ass too. So it's going to be an entirely different situation. My brother is intelligent and is supporting Trump. Go figure. Well, intelligence is a subjective thing. You can be intelligent in math, but dumb in everything else. You can be intelligent academically, but have no street smarts. And then you could just be in a fucking cult, and doesn't matter how smart you are, you just got sucked into a cult. Check your registration weekly. Paxton filed suit in several counties to purge voters. Yeah, by all means, check your registration. According to Alan Lichtman's model, RFK dropping out helps Kamala Harris. Well, that's possible. That's possible. We'll see. But that Alan Lichtman, of all the people that make predictions, I think he's the most solid. He's the most Percentage wise, most often correct. He's been correct virtually every time. Um, he knows what he's talking about. And if he's telling me Kamala's winning, all I'm going to say is, yeah, you agree with me. You're right. Um, JJ says, my 18-year-old daughter and all her friends are fired up for Kamala. Gives me so much hope. They should be fired up about Kamala. Let's be honest, the Republican Party is mounting a war against women. We got to fight back against the Republicans to assist women in this country. And it seems only fair that the woman in charge or the person in charge will be a woman, and that Kamala Harris. And Kamala Harris is a hell of a fighter. So I honestly believe that this election and the coming year is going to be the year and the election of women. Women are going to help Kamala win. Women are going to be responsible for making some dramatic changes once that win is settled in. R777. What happened to your regular posts? Dude, I do the same post, I do post every day. I do anywhere from 4 to 10 posts a day, mostly 4, 5, 6 posts a day. I've been doing them every day for 4 years. I'm here. The algorithm just isn't showing it to you. So if you're not seeing me on TikTok, here's what you do. You go over to YouTube, search Rational Boomer, or go into my profile. There's a link to go to the YouTube channel there. And all the TikToks are there. And when I post something on TikTok, I immediately put it on YouTube. And then I also put the video version of the podcast on YouTube. So if you can't find it here, go over to YouTube. Trump is our biggest ally to defeat him. Yeah. Trump is his biggest, worst enemy. Will the Trump be able to vote for himself? I believe he will, even though he's a convicted felon. I think the rule is if you're a convicted felon but not in jail, you can vote. Obviously, if you're in jail, you cannot vote. What do you think of Biden leaving the presidency? Kamala is sworn in. Would that give her a stronger position? Um, yeah, I think so. I think so. I mean, Joe Biden's been a highly successful president. She's been his vice president. She'll get some of the credit for that. Yeah, I think it has some bearing on it. What about the Supreme Court? Miss November asks. Well, what about them? We have to win the election first, and then we have to take them to task. We have to do some things. We could try to impeach them. We would have to get rid of the filibuster first, which we could do. I think the immediate thing we do when Kamala wins is somebody goes to the Supreme Court justices, Alito and Clarence Thomas, said, listen, you're some old motherfuckers, and you could be looking at some indictments and going to jail for the rest of your life. Or you could just retire and let Kamala Harris appoint 2 new liberal justices. So what do you want to do? I have a feeling those 2 may be forced out. They may be afraid of what's going to happen when the Democrats take power. That would be the first step. So it's 6-3 right now. If those 2 were kicked out or resigned and liberals were put in, that would put the liberals ahead 5-4. That's all you really have to do in the beginning. Um, Jesse Dog, not trying to get ahead of things, but do you think Gavin Newsom can be a future president? Yeah, I think he could. I think Gavin Newsom could be a future president, no question about it. I think he's a talented guy, good looking guy, smart guy. Yeah, I do. I just don't know when because Kamala is going to win in 24. She's presumably going to rerun for reelection in 2028. So now we're looking at 2032. We're looking at 8 years from now. Could he possibly do it then? Absolutely. There could be some new people coming through too that might be great for the presidency. Things change so much, change dramatically very quickly. Um, Lady Hawk says, we do love Josh here in PA. He will be pres someday. There's another one. He could be. He certainly got the talent for it. I'm impressed with Josh Shapiro. I've seen him. He's very personable, but he's also very smart. He's very articulate. Same with Gavin Newsom. That's the wonderful thing about the Democratic Party. As they always say, there's a deep bench. There's a lot of people in the Democratic Party that could be president. Josh Shapiro, Gavin Newsom, Jamie Raskin, Eric Swalwell. There's all kinds of people that could run for the presidency in the Democratic Party. So we're in good shape with our deep bench. Long time no see. Nice to see you again. I've been here. Apparently, TikTok isn't letting you see me, but I've been around. Why do you think evangelicals embrace Trump? I think there's one reason, and it's one topic, and I think it's abortion. They have been desperate to overturn Roe v. Wade and make abortion illegal. They saw Donald Trump as the only likely candidate to help them do that. And as luck would have it for them, that's what he did. That's the only thing. That's why they were able to forgive all his other sins, just so they got what they wanted. Now they got what they wanted. The problem is they are the dog chasing the truck. Now that they've caught the truck, what are they going to do with it? They're going to lose the Republican control in the House and the Senate and in the White House, and things are going to change back, and Roe v. Wade's going to be codified. So as much as they wanted to have Roe v. Wade overturned, they're going to lose it in the end. Summa Mama. Oh, nice. Never caught you live. I like your post. Thank you, Summa. I appreciate it. Thanks for. I'm trying to do more lives as of late. I always had problems with Trump LaFuck's coming in and trying to take me down. I've got some moderators now that do a hell of a job of keeping me safe. I appreciate that. TJ the plumber's out there. Golf buddy, this is better than what we see on TV. I'm glad I found you. It depends on what you're watching on TV. I appreciate that though. That's very nice of you to say. Uh, Love your clear and relaxed approach. Yeah, I don't get too excited about things. I'm a firm believer that things work out for the best if you allow it. Too many people get hyped up. They get crazy. They get upset. And when they do that, they mess things up. All you can do is sit back, be calm, do what you can do to get the job done, and just expect it to go your way. That's kind of what I do. Joe Williams says, I like your hat. I have a similar one too. Thank you. I got a bunch of hats. I wear hats because I started wearing them when I was doing TikToks, and I'm not sure why, because I never used to wear hats before, but now it's been kind of a thing. So I wear the hats. It's not a big deal. It's funny though, when I'm with my granddaughter, she always sees me with a hat. And then when I take my hat off, she'll look at me kind of weird and go, Grandpa, put your hat back on. Apparently, she needs more of my head covered up. Indria Brooks Thomas, you are a very down to earth and authentic person. Thank you, Indria. I appreciate that. I try to be. Um, there's nothing to be fake about. I'm 64 years old. Who am I trying to fucking impress? CDS says, you're giving me hope. I'm a blue speck in a sea of red. Just keep the faith. We're going to be fine. And after November, we'll see a lot of sunshine for once. Moki Maven, seriously, you've kept us sane. You even and level-headed. Well, and again, I appreciate that. I'm glad that I've been able to do something of value for the listeners as opposed to just entertain you or kind of inform you. The fact that I've been able to do some good for some folks is really kind of special to me. I'm glad that I was able to do that. I never thought that that's what I would be doing, but it's wonderful. Chocolate Manatee High from Indiana. Hey, Indiana. You keep my anxiety low. That's the funny thing. I got people in my family that deal with anxiety, and people always ask me, do you have anxiety? I have zero anxiety, zero. And I'm either the craziest guy or the most healthy person. And people say, how is it you don't have anxiety? And the only thing I can say to explain that is I don't give a fuck. I don't care what people think about me. I don't care what happens. I'm just living my life, doing the best I can, and reacting to the things that happen around me. If you can teach yourself to just not give a fuck, there's a lot less anxiety that you'll have to deal with. Um, Service and love, that's what it's all about. You're absolutely right. Trump is scared to debate. Donald Trump is terrified, not only to debate, but all the other things that are going to be happening to Donald Trump in the next 2 months. Like Donald Trump once said, uh, he's going to be going through some fucking things. Mickey Blue says, hi from Minnesota. What up? Minnesota homie. Can they do that? Can they get rid of VP? I think they can. I don't know how. I don't know enough about that to understand that. um, let's see here. I have a MAGger brother. It's tough. He talks down to me. Well, that's what narcissists do. They talk down to you. I'm better. I'm special. I'm smarter than you. I grew up with a father who was a narcissist, so I learned how to deal with these fucks. They don't like me because when I talk to one, I flip it back on them. You're not smarter than me. I'm smarter than you. You can't talk louder and longer than me. I can talk loud and long too. What you have to understand about narcissists, they're bullies, and bullies are cowards. They act tough, and as long as you give in to them, they win. But because they're cowards, they fold up quickly too. What you have to do with somebody who's a narcissist, a trumplefuck, a bully, push back, slap the taste out of their mouth, and then watch them run. Um, let's see here. Thank you for your reassurance every day. Thank you for watching every day. Never been to the Mall of America. Is it as great as I've heard? Mall of America is cool. It's big. It's impressive. But I will tell you something about the Mall of America for people who live in Minnesota. If you live in Minnesota, you rarely go to the Mall of America. You go to some of the other malls if you're going to do some serious shopping. That's kind of a destination for tourists. And frankly, it gets a little weird sometimes at night. You get a lot of kids hanging out there, and sometimes there can be violence. It's not terrible, but it can happen. But if you live in Minnesota, chances are you don't go to the Mall of America. That's not to say you shouldn't go, because it is a cool place to see, but it's a lot. And if you're just out shopping for whatever you're shopping for, you don't want to get in that whole fucking mess. You'll go someplace else or do it online. It's a cool place, a very cool place. There's very few places like it, if any place like it. It's worth seeing. I would go see it, but I don't. Let's see here. Joyful Warrior says, I've lost several, meaning family members, and don't feel the same about those who support him. Yeah, some people have said to me, won't it be nice after this is all over and then we can reconnect with the Trumplafucks, we can forgive each other and then just move on? And I'm sorry, I'm not going to be able to do that. You know, if we had a difference of opinion in politics and we got in an argument, okay, maybe we can come to terms and work that out. But these people that supported Donald Trump to the very end were supporting somebody who was trying to destroy this country, trying to overturn elections, trying to undermine democracy, trying to destroy this country, which will affect my kids and my grandkids. That's a bridge too far. That's unforgivable as far as I'm concerned. Even if I did want to forgive you, now I can't trust you. You've done something very egregious against this country. Who's to say you won't do it again? I can't be your friend because I don't like you and I don't trust you. Um, why do you think of, okay, we already saw that. Shawnee Harris says worried about Ohio. I wouldn't worry about Ohio. I mean, nobody's expecting Ohio to be blue, but there is some possibilities that they will be blue. But there's a chance that it might flip to blue. Uh, we would presume it's going to be red, so I wouldn't worry about it. If it's red, nothing surprising. How are you? Why does the government have to pay for Kennedy's protection? That's a good question. I mean, I know they pay for the protection of presidential candidates and the vice presidential candidates. Um, but all he did is endorse Donald Trump. I don't know why the government would pay for his protection unless it's some scam that Donald Trump is pulling. VP Harris's campaign has brought in $541 million in a month. It's fucking crazy. That's amazing. You can tell me whatever the polls say. That tells me she's got a lot of fucking support. Larry Sue says, got follow from one of your imposter accounts. Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. On TikTok here, I have anywhere from 5 to 15 imposters, people who use my name, use my face, use my videos, and they try to connect with people out here on TikTok. And then they try to sell you shit like crypto and what have you. Every day I get people coming to me saying, do you have a backup account? Do you have a Telegram account? I'm going to say it here, like I've said in the TikToks I've done before. I have one TikTok account. That's this TikTok account. I've never had a backup. I will never have a backup. If something happens on TikTok where I get kicked off or banned or something like that, that'll be it for TikTok. I'll focus on YouTube and Instagram and Facebook. Um, Even if it is my account, I will never reach out to people, DM people. I get a lot of DMs from people, and if you write words, I'll respond to you, but I won't reach out to you out of the blue. As far as who I follow, if you take a look at my profile, I follow 10,000 people. I follow a lot of people, and I alter it, and I drop people, and I add more people. I just have a lot of people I follow because I want to. Secondly, I think that if somebody is trying to sell you something, that will not be me. But if you're not sure about who you're talking to, say somebody else says they're me, the first way you can check and see if it's me is go check the profile, see how many followers they have. I have roughly 372,000 followers. None of these imposters will have anywhere close to that. So if you see somebody with my name, my face, my videos, but has less than 372,000 followers, not me, not me. We've reported this to TikTok hundreds of times. Every time they come back and say, we don't see any violations. I don't know what it'd have to do to get a fucking violation, but they don't call it a violation. So there's nothing I can really do to stop this. So that's why it's important for you folks to follow that rule, buyer beware. I'm not going to sell you anything. I'm not going to reach out to you directly. So just block them. And don't even bother reporting them because it's pointless. And I think when you report them, it somehow comes back on me. I'm not sure why, but I think it does. So just block them. Just block them, shut them out. Once again, I want to remind you to check out the Rational Boomer podcast. You can get the audio version on Spotify. You can get the video version on YouTube. There's a link in my profile. Just hit that. That'll take you to the YouTube channel. Go to Spotify, search for Rational Boomer. It'll come up there. I hope you check it out. The Rational Boomer podcast is something I do every night. Sometimes I have guests, sometimes I have emails, sometimes I do a TikTok live and run that as a podcast. That's what we're doing for tomorrow's podcast. Uh, but if you're on TikTok, you're familiar with a gentleman by the name of Abe Gurko. Now, Abe Gurko's account is called Won't Be Silent. And if you're on TikTok, you no doubt seen Abe. Abe is a smart guy. He's a hell of an interesting guy. And I love talking to him. And he's been on the show a number of times. Well, he's on the show today. He's on the show today. If you haven't listened to the Rational Boomer podcast, this may be the day to do it. Let's see. No more lifetime appointments for Supreme Court. Yeah. I think we need to get term limits for the Supreme Court. There's no reason why they should have lifetime appointments. One of the reasons they wanted to do the lifetime appointments is so that it wouldn't be political. Well, lifetime appointments, and it's very political. So no more reason to do the lifetime appointments. Doc Day, Mike, I'm liking the new hat, but you've got to get a blue one. I can get a blue one. I might even have a blue one. This isn't a new hat. I've had it for a long time. I just put on hats and I end up wearing them for a while. I got probably 10 hats. Some I haven't even worn as yet, but I'll see what I can do about getting a blue one. That's shouldn't be a problem. Support, donate, vote blue. He will run if he gets jail time. Common sense ain't so common. Sure. Sounds like maybe your wife, if baking, keep hearing cookie sheets in the background. My wife's in bed. She's sleeping, and she's not much of a baker or a cook. No, I don't know what's going on back there. Um, could be ghosts, you know. I, I don't know. Joyful Warrior says, still have a cold. I do. It's much, much better. I don't feel sick, but I do get congested from time to time. It's going away, but I'm older, so it takes longer. Ever work with rocket science engineers? All those book smarts in the world, but no common sense. Yeah, I know what you're saying. What are your thoughts on the Supreme Court justices? I think we have a problem with the Supreme Court and it needs to be rectified. But we can't rectify it until after the November election when the Democrats get control. We need to get Alito and Clarence Thomas out either by leverage or by impeachment, but we got to get them out and get a more even Supreme Court at this point. Assuming Kamala wins, I suspect Russia will stop its attack on the Ukraine. I don't know if they'll stop it, but they're going to have a different. Not they're going to be have to be made to stop it either by Ukraine or by NATO. I don't know that Kamala becoming president is going to be the thing that stops it. In fact, I think maybe Putin will be like Donald Trump and try to double down just to test her. Kamala's coming to Savannah. I heard that. She's coming on August 29th. I won't be there. I would love to have been there when she shows up, but I will not. But she'll be received very well in Savannah. As much as there might be red areas in Georgia, Savannah, from all I can tell, is very blue. So they'll love her there. CDS says, we will not go back. No, we will not go back. Kamala is a fighter. I'm impressed with how she's running her campaign. I am very impressed too. Very sharp woman. Kim says, rational, I love you. Thank you from Gen X. Thank you, Kim. I love all you folks too. And the funny thing is, as much as I say I'm a boomer, I am a boomer. Baby boomers are born between 1946 and 1964. I was born in 1960. So I'm a very young baby boomer, and I'm very close to the cusp of Gen X. So that's why I may be a little different than some of the other baby boomers out there, and I might tend to some of the Gen X ideology. So I can relate to Gen Xers too. Have voted in every election since turning 18. Found out last week that I'm marked as inactive. Now that's interesting. Re-register and don't be surprised. Lady Hawk says, I go to your page, see you on TikTok, and listen to all your podcasts. Sometimes I listen twice. I knew I liked you, Lady Hawk. Thank you very much. I appreciate the determination and the loyalty. I really, truly do. Katie Brown says, go rest your voice soon for the night. We're only going to need you more as we get closer to November. You're absolutely right. And actually, Katie, you make a good point. We've got an hour, 34 minutes in, and I should wrap things up. If you didn't hear all of this TikTok live, it'll be on the podcast after midnight tonight, and it'll be available. But I appreciate you folks coming out. I'm going to do more lives. Now that I'm getting through these, I'm getting great help from the moderators. TJ the plumber is out there today, kicking some ass and taking some names. I appreciate that. And he's largely the moderators are largely responsible for keeping us on here because the Trump-Levucks will try to take you down, and you need the moderators to stop them. And they have done an admirable job as they always do, and I appreciate the fact that they are doing that tonight. Um, but I'm going to be here every day, obviously. I'll do lives. I try to do one live a week at least because I enjoy doing them. It's just a matter of setting up the moment in time. Um, and I hope you come back to the lives. I hope you check out the Rational Boomer podcast and keep an eye out for me on TikTok. If you're not seeing me in your For You page, go to YouTube. There's a link in the profile, or go to YouTube, Rational Boomer, and you'll find it. All the TikToks are there, and so is the podcast. So I all hope you have a wonderful night. I hope you have a wonderful night, and we'll talk to you in the morning. All right. I keep I keep forgetting when I end the live that I'm still doing the podcast. I apologize for that. Um, I'm tired. My voice is starting to go. So let's just wrap things up for the Rational Boomer podcast. And I hope you have a great day, and we'll talk to you again tomorrow.